Drayton, North Dakota isn't a big place. In the category of small towns, it's well on the small side. A little more than 800 people, sometimes probably a little less. There's a sugar refinery, and it once had so many championship baseball teams, the governor declared it the capital of the sport in the state. Since 1901, it's also had a curling club that just a few years ago wasn't what anyone would call a great place to curl. Sometimes the ice turned to water. There was a sinkhole in the house on sheet 4 that sent every draw shot towards the boards, and the compressor ran about as well as a 1982 Chevy Citation. What Drayton, North Dakota has, though, is a sense of community and an understanding that the curling club was a big part of that. So, a few years ago, some guys who grew up playing there, left for a while, and then moved back, decided to make that curling club a place they could be proud of. They stopped trying to limp through another season and went for a full on, top to bottom renovation fueled by black coffee, donated diesel fuel, and an army of volunteers. This is their story. Direct from Drayton, North Dakota, it's Tom Grzadzielski and Tom Halcrow from the Drayton Curling Club. Guys, welcome to the whole spiel.
Thank you so much for having us, Dean, and much appreciated.
Hey, I'm thrilled to have you two guys on here, especially now I think I might have got both Tom's names right or just a little bit wrong, but happy to have you both. And the reason I've got you on here is you're from the town of Drayton, North Dakota. We've heard plenty of stories about small towns like yours where curling clubs sort of fade away. And yours is a particular success story that I want people to know about. So I guess I'll start with Tom Grzadzielski because you're the first guy I spoke to about this. You're from Drayton. You moved away. You came back and you found the curling club was like what?
Well, so I curled all throughout high school, and then moved away in 2003, came back in 2012, and not much had changed the club minus the memberships sliding. We were down to only about 6 teams in one league, so wasn't much left. The ice had basically stayed the same, no forward progress there. I just started spearheading a bunch of projects here at the club, and we started raising money, and everybody kind of got a little more fire under them, and here we are today. So it's
So when did you start lighting that fire? When did you two guys start lighting the fire? 20 what?
So 2012.
Yeah,
I actually got voted in as president when I wasn't here.
That's how it often happens.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't here. I got a phone call that night and said, "Hey, you're president now, so good luck." Which I was stoked. I was like, "All right, let's do some good things." So it just really snowballed, and man, it turned into something pretty wild.
So you guys actually you closed for a while and basically redid the whole club, right? You used to be a 4-sheet club. Now we're looking out on your 3 really nice sheets. What was involved in that process? What do you have to do?
Oh my goodness.
What didn't we?
Where do we start? So it all started with I think it was the fall of 18, or was it spring of 18. We decided as a group that we wanted to do this project. Our ice was so bad that we would have to flood constantly or do controlled melts.
We were flooding mid bonspiels.
Yeah.
Midway through.
Saturday night.
We're pushing back the evening draw because we have to do a little flood.
Yeah, just a little flood. Sorry about that.
Won't be long.
Yeah. Just hang tight with us here. No, that's not even a joke. That happened the last bonspiel, and that was the icing on the cake. We're like, all right, we got to do something different. Our floor was just terrible. There was just huge cracks in the concrete, so it frost heaved something fierce. So we just said, all right, as a group, we decided we're doing this thing. And our goal was 1 year. We wanted to be curling the next year. But the way COVID worked out, everybody was canceling their seasons anyways. So we decided,
Right.
hey, like, let's just keep going forward with different projects, because we were just about done with our concrete when the time frame
Yep.
came. And we were like, okay, we could probably get our ice, but we want to do dehumidification, we want to do our sealing, we want to do our tin on the exterior of the building. So we decided to just cancel the season and keep working. So it ended up being about 17 months is that we actually worked on it.
It really was a silver lining having most other clubs in the area closed for
Yeah.
the whole pandemic deal, because it gave us an excuse to, like Tom said, take a little more time and really ultimately do it right in the end.
Yep.
Yeah, it could be, if it was normal times, you'd probably be eager to get it going, and you might cut a
Exactly.
few corners. In the end, you didn't have to, right?
Yeah.
So-
And that's just it. The crew, the main crew decided, let's do this absolutely 100% to spec as anybody would do it that was doing an installation. Like, you hired a contractor to do it, because we did
Right.
it all ourselves. The only thing we didn't do was the actual concrete pour. That we hired out a company out of Frazee called Gemstone Masonry.
The concrete floor you did. You got pros for
we
it.
did all the framing and everything. They
Yeah.
did just the pour and finish. They did an excellent
Okay.
job.
Yeah,
I mean,
Unbelievable.
that's important to get the floor right. So
we installed all the pipes, headers, rebar, the whole shebang. We did it
Wow.
all.
So, but this you were working with the existing building, right? You were trying to
Yes.
modify it. Yeah.
Yep.
So that must
Yeah,
have been
so
challenging.
basically how it started is we had to take out all of our old pipes and sand out of the top. Then we had to crush out the old concrete, which was anywhere from 3 to 20 inches thick. They did an absolute wild pour job. And
3 to
it was
20
like,
inches.
it was like
this'll do.
yeah, looks good, boys.
Yeah, some rebar, some not.
Yeah, so that was the late 50s when they poured that concrete.
Sure.
So it was pretty toasted out. So, which was
Yeah.
great, but it still took us 3 days to get the concrete out.
50 loads or something like that.
Yeah, it was 50 semi loads of concrete and clay and sand. What we
Wow.
hauled out of here. Not to mention another 20 or 30 loads of pipe and sand and garbage and
With a
whatever.
volunteer crew of how many?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then once we actually got it down to grade, that's when the actual work started.
Mhm.
Because it had 60 years of water that had seeped underneath the floor, because there was no drain or anything like that, so it just went straight down. So we had to come in here with a field cultivator and a little tractor, and we just kept running around trying to dry it out. We did that for a couple of weeks before it actually got to a point where you could walk on it.
It was just
Okay.
like, it was just, yeah,
It was
total mush.
soup. Yeah.
So you basically tilled it. Is that,
We did.
Yeah.
'cause that's
yeah.
the only
had
farming
fans.
term I know. Did you till it?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we were going to plant
Okay.
something in it, but
Yeah,
but
no,
we had
no sunlight.
Fans blowing, trying to get air in there, and
Yeah.
actually found a well, which makes sense now.
Yep.
Before this building was built, whatever was here before, there was a well or a cistern or something like that, and
Oh,
it was
really?
in the corner of our building under our foundation. Not a great spot for a well. But when our ice was heaving, and when we had melt, a lot of it ran into this corner, and we didn't know where it was going, and we found it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, there was actually
after a number of missed draws over there.
Yeah. We get it now.
Yeah, that's going
Yeah.
to the well.
Yeah, it's going to the well. Yep. And it was crazy, because I was actually running the excavator around the perimeter. We were actually installing drain tile and insulation. And
Wow.
I made a scoop, and it just kept going. And I'm like, what in the world's going on here? And sure enough, we dug it all out, and it was a probably 15, 20-foot deep well that was probably
Pipes coming
5,
into it.
6 feet width. And yeah, there was old utilities running into it. So,
So
we
here's
called
the
it-
only thing, the way listening to you guys talk about it, I think you also had some fun doing this, though.
Oh my gosh, it was an absolute riot. Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, it's crazy. I actually sat down on my phone, and I was going through the steps. Every step, how we did it, and the snafus that we had, and it's absolutely insane. I mean,
Yeah.
our headers ended up they ran through a hurricane.
Yeah, they were in New Orleans. Yeah. So to pour our cement, we had a pour date, and
Yeah.
we had to push it back because we wanted to have our headers in and everything, so we got pressurized in case we pop something during the pour. And yeah, like Tom says, our headers came out of New Orleans area. They got hit by a hurricane. They didn't even know where they were.
Yeah, they couldn't call them, so they didn't know where they were at.
Pipes were coming out of Canada, north of Maine somewhere, and the truck broke down. Who knows where? I
Yeah,
don't know.
Newfoundland. So yeah, the pipes are coming from a long ways away. The truck broke
some
down.
supply chain issues.
Yeah, a little bit.
Our compressor we had it ordered, and 2 days before it was supposed to show up, the guy called me and told me that he hadn't ordered a single component for it. So we had to find a new compressor.
Told me this story, so
Yeah.
I want to give it some good players. So you had the compressor on order.
Yep.
Guy was supposed to be putting it together, apparently, right?
Yes. Yep.
2 days before, he says, "Well, I've taken your money, but I haven't ordered a single part."
Yes, he fully was joshing us the whole time that he actually was working on it.
So
Right.
So we went to, actually, one other guy, myself, went to see what he actually had before he told us he had nothing.
Yeah.
And he showed us 2 random compressors. And luckily we were savvy enough about the project. We knew these weren't the ones we ordered. And I called Tom. I said, "Tom, I don't know if something's fishy here. I don't think he's got anything." And yeah, before I left this guy's place, I said, "Well, everything looks real good." And then 5 minutes later, Tom calls him and says, "We want our money back."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
cancel it all.
yeah, I mean, what really put us over the top was we were trying to build our condenser stand outside, and we needed to know the dimensions. And he had told me that they had the compressors and the condenser, everything was there. They were waiting for the chiller barrel. That's what he told me.
Yeah.
And this was weeks of this. And finally I was like, "Hey, like, you have to give us the dimensions on this deal, because it's going to freeze up and we're not going to be able to drill our holes anymore." And he's like, 8 by 16. And I'm like, "That seems huge, whatever." So we built this 8 by 16. You could land an aircraft on it. I mean, it is absolutely huge. It's stout.
Yeah.
Turns out it wasn't the right size for the new plant that's coming in. But that was the kisser, where I was like, something's really fishy. Like, if he had it in stock, why wouldn't he just go back there and measure it?
Right. Yeah.
So so we asked for
So wait, you realize the guy's not coming through. You asked for your money back, because then it gets even more interesting.
Yeah. So we asked for our $63,000 back.
You're planning a wedding at this time.
I'm literally getting married in 2 days. And so he's like, "Okay, I'll send it." So he sends us like half of it. And I call him immediately and say, "Hey, that's not the full amount. Where's the rest?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I don't know about these compressors. I might not be able to get them, take them back, and yada, yada." And I just said, "Hey, at 1 o'clock on Friday, if the money isn't there, we're coming to get it." And so this
Really
guy,
strong arm, don't you?
Tell you what,
this
Tom,
guy-
I'm terrified right now listening to you say that.
Yeah, I'm sure. This guy and one of my cousins, Andy Grzadzielski, another one of the big helpers, or big.
Oh, you bring in the Grzadzielskis. And
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
yeah.
When you come with double Grzadzielski,
You watch out.
yeah, it's done.
So they went down there at 1 o'clock Friday, and it was good cop, bad cop.
We totally good cop. I was just real nice. I talked to the guy quite a bit in the past. And and Andy, who's constantly, he's a smoker. I swear he was eating his cigarette, staring at the guy, just power moving it, not even smoking them,
Right.
just chewing them.
Yeah.
And he looked mean. Like you weren't going to turn him down. He wanted the money.
Right.
And yeah, that night, within like 4 or 5 hours, the money was in our account. Tom went and got married, and
Yeah. We
on our
did.
way with this other Berg chillers out of Canada.
Yeah.
They were great to work with. Got it expedited to us as quickly as possible.
Yeah. They got us a full operational plant in 4 months. Which
bird chillers were out of Manitoba, Winnipeg, or somewhere near
yeah, well, yeah, they have a place out of Winnipeg there, but
there? Okay.
yeah, they were good to work with. And they said, "Hey, normal lead times 6 to 10 months." So
Yeah.
and they crushed it out in 4, and we got it in, and it's a great system.
They came through big time. And that leads us up to where we left off here about trying to get it through the border.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then of course that got snagged at the border for 2 weeks because of COVID. The plant had COVID, so
So that pushed our whole system back again.
yeah.
Right.
Tons.
And you had this
of snafus.
overbuilt stand still, right? So you got an
Oh,
overbuilt
yeah.
stand for this thing? Yeah.
Well, the stand is
We were thinking about having a dance on it.
yeah,
We were holding a dance.
right.
You could
Yeah.
have bands and a concert on
Yeah.
it, maybe.
Yeah,
Just play
basically.
outside.
Yeah.
So, and it turns out the condenser sits like 6 feet in the air. So there's only 4 little tiny legs that sit on it. So it looks even worse. So,
But,
I
you
like
know,
it. I
this
think you
winter
got to
we-
put that. You got to
we
put
got a
that
lot
on
of
your
snow,
Facebook
so-
page, a picture of it. So I want
Yeah.
to see how that's working out.
for sure.
So,
For sure.
so you get that in. So now at that point you're good to go. When was that? What day?
Okay, so
what
that no,
time?
we had like a million things to do after that. So we got the plant in. Then we had to get all the piping hooked up. So one of our old members, not old member, he's still kind of a member. He was a plumber, just started his
Yeah.
own business. So he did all of the fusion welding for all of our HDPE, which is the in-floor pipe. And then he did all the fusion welding on the big 6-inch stuff too. So then got all
Yeah.
that hooked up. Then the rest of the utilities hooked up, got the glycol in the system, got all the air out. Then from there we did our ceiling. We put an e-ceiling in. We did tin on the exterior of the building. Repainted all the blue. Then we had to get our walkways back in. Got the walkways in. Got those cleaned up. And then we had to stain those. Did the Thompson water sealer. Build new stairs. So yeah, there was 1,000 things we did afterwards.
With
Yeah,
with
see,
our-
I just glossed over that stuff. Then you're ready to go, right?
Yeah, then we
You
were
got
ready
the
to go.
chiller.
with our so we had a real dry summer this past summer. And it wasn't until in the fall it started to rain a little bit. We'd never been in the building in the summer much at all. But obviously this last summer we were in here a lot. When it did start to rain, we didn't intend on putting tin on our building immediately.
Right.
That was down the road. Well, we go up into our false ceiling in our attic and it's raining inside.
Oh, really?
So
That
we
much?
grabbed every Tupperware, every bowl, bucket out of the kitchen, everything we could find. And we had buckets everywhere catching these drips.
Really?
Luckily, 2 of our members are carpenters. One owns the lumberyard and the other, his brother is a carpenter. And they slapped tin on this place in like no time.
Yeah.
4 days or
Oh,
something.
right.
What the problem was that so before, without our e-sealing, which is basically just a water barrier,
Yeah.
it would just drip through the insulation and end up on our floor, and it wasn't a big deal.
No, we had a sand floor.
Yeah, we had a sand floor, which whatever. But once we got the vapor barrier up, then the water it was dripping down and pooling on
Right.
our e-sealing.
A nice new
So we were like, okay, well, that's the next thing. It's going to just rip the whole thing down.
Yeah.
So-
If you hadn't gone up in the attic, you might have come in and it just.
Right.
Yeah. If you hadn't got up in the attic, you might have come in and the ceiling was collapsing, right?
Oh,
So-
exactly.
for sure would have been.
Yeah, but it's all
Yeah.
things that were like, you didn't really think about that when we did
No.
the e-ceiling. We're like, this looks great. And of course, when we did the e-ceiling, then you got to put in new lights and
Yeah.
new fixtures and all that. So
So that's going to be a segment in the best practices construction from USA Curling. When you put the e-ceiling in, get up and check the attic in the summer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh.
yeah,
Absolutely.
you might want to start from the top and go down rather than from the bottom and go up. Just a pro tip.
Also, it
So-
got pretty hot
Go
in
ahead,
here
Tom.
when we had a lot of equipment running in here. At any given time, 3-4 skid steers, maybe a bulldozer, backhoe, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We had as much air moving as we could, but it wasn't enough. You could barely
Right.
breathe in this place. And Andy Grzadzielski had his brother Derek. So now we're looking at 3 Grzadzielskis now.
Yeah, that's a
So
lot.
that's when it really gets
That's
serious.
that's a
You know,
room full of graduates.
he had an old dozer. His brother Derek was sitting on it.
It's like a 1960 D4, right?
Yeah. It's the only thing
Oh,
that
the
would travel
D4.
in here, really, because it's so soupy. We had to get it sort of leveled out. And Derek's there, and it's chooching black smoke, just straight black coal. And he's sitting on it with a cigarette, and no one else can even breathe in this building.
Yeah, it was terrible. And meanwhile, it was 110 degrees in here. And we did that for
I'm just
days.
I'm just going to throw out it was also during COVID, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
COVID couldn't survive. Not in there.
Yeah.
And
It-
I guess OSHA never came by, did they? They
No.
never
No,
came
there's
by for a little
not much
visit?
for regulations here.
Also, I don't.
Yeah,
mean
we'll
to
make sure
this
that
real long.
no,
or
we'll make
anything,
sure
but-
that that's not covered. No, I'm loving it. Go ahead, Tom.
being the president, he made the major call. We need to stage all this gravel because we took out like 3 feet worth of aggregate, just
Yeah.
dirt, gravel, clay, everything. We had to fill it back in. We needed a spot to stage this. We never really thought of asking the city, but we just blocked off an entire street for the whole summer with 40 loads of gravel. You couldn't get around it.
Yeah, it was a lot of
I mean,
gravel. I might have
you
got a
know,
call from the mayor on that one.
ask for forgiveness, right? That's all you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
do there. Just,
yeah.
go
But we did
steam
get some
ahead.
cones up, so it was safe.
yeah.
Yeah. You parked your truck in front of it,
Yeah, yeah.
just to make sure
But it
people
took,
know it
you
was
know,
a
we
barrier.
had a couple trucks hauling nonstop
Uh,
when
right.
when the gravel site was open. And it
Uh-huh.
took us, you know, probably 3 weeks to get all the gravel in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, if we were going to hire somebody in, it was going to just cost so much money. So we just
Right.
plucked away at it with some of the farm trucks, and when guys could haul, they would and stuff. So that's kind of why we had to do a staging deal, because we ended up putting in, how many yards was it? 1,300 yards or something?
Well, 40 some loads at like 20, 23 yards a
Yeah.
load or so.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah, I mean,
yeah, it was like
a lot.
1,000 yards.
So I wanted to have you guys on because I want to get people enthusiastic about taking on this stuff. And I'm not
Oh,
sure
you-
we're doing it yet because this
We're not
sounds so
doing it yet?
daunting. No, actually, I'm excited. I wish I'd been on the crew last summer.
Oh,
I
it
wish
was a ride.
I'd
was
be of
great.
zero help, by the way. I'd bring all my New Jersey talents, and I'd
Oh,
be of zero
perfect.
help. But yeah,
No.
I could have at least documented and had some laughs.
Well, this might help then, Dean. So we got
All
a
right.
couple quotes on the whole project. We were like, hey,
Yep.
you guys come in and do the whole thing.
And that was before we had a ceiling,
Yeah,
dehumidification. This is strictly just floor and cooling plant.
This is to go
Right.
from us leveled out clay and then up. So we would have to
Yep.
still do all the deconstruction and
Right.
get it leveled out and stuff like that. So most of the quotes came in $1 million to do all this.
Yeah,
And
it's about what I hear. So.
yeah, and we did it for an absolute fraction of that.
Yeah,
sure.
A lot of it was donated time and labor and fuel and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, it was substantially less than that for
Yeah.
the deconstruction and stuff.
And also, I think we did a good job.
Yeah,
It wasn't just
expected,
cheap.
no.
It was
Right.
a quality job done cheaply.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but just
Right.
because our labor and like I
Yeah,
say,
some time.
there must have been
and some-
10, 15 pieces of equipment that we didn't pay for.
Yeah.
Right.
Local farmers and
The
business
local
owners,
farmers they'd bring in it in.
let us use it. And so
Wow.
Yeah,
that was huge.
It was big time huge, because we wouldn't have been able to pay for a project of that magnitude if
No,
we would have
sure.
hired somebody
Yeah.
in. So
It's,
we didn't have an option.
It's a great community story.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And-
guys.
and
It's a great
surrounding
community
community.
story.
We received a tremendous amount of support through, we do a pickup raffle, brings in some money,
Mm-hmm.
and surrounding communities have supported this club very, very much.
Yeah, it's been awesome. The
Huge.
Drayton Curling Club can't give enough thanks to, like, the Grafton Curling Club, the Halcrow Curling Club, Stephen Curling Club, Grand Forks Club. We have kind of a cool little community here where everybody supports each other, and it's pretty cool.
So tell me, when did you first open for play? What was your first day of being open to start curling?
It would have
December,
been
like 9th.
December 9th of this year, something like that, or 2021.
December 9th. Okay.
I
I
can
trust
tell
you
you.
on the 9th. But yeah,
Okay.
these Grzadzielskis want accuracy, so let me
Well, yeah,
find out
absolutely.
exactly. No, we got to verify.
It's got to be verified.
Well, while you're looking up the date, Tom, I'll ask the other Tom. How's membership and everything been in coming back?
Having a year off maybe hurt us a little bit, but I think we're
Right.
coming back from it now.
Yep.
The word is out that our ice is significantly better. We're able to run a lot warmer in our building because our plant will hold, so it's just more
Right.
comfortable for everybody curling.
Sure.
So yeah, I think there is a resurgence in curling in our
Yeah.
town. It's coming back for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's, there was a lot of buzz around the project because it was
Yeah.
every day there was 10 vehicles out front, which is unusual for Drake.
Sometimes
Well, and then you block
way
a
into-
street with some gravel, it
Yeah.
creates a little buzz,
Usually draws some attention.
way into the early morning hours.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of 2 a.m.s, 3 a.m.s.
Really?
Well, once you started, it's like, well, let's just keep banging on it because you never know. Most of them are farmers, so it's like the next day everybody could be back in the field doing something. Right. So,
Yeah.
so you just went as hard as we could. By the way, it was November 21st, so we threw the first rocks.
So about
November
the first rocks,
21st.
it was a 3-sheet club, obviously. Myself, Tom Grzadzielski, his cousin Andy Grzadzielski. We had our local a big supporter of the curling club, takes all our pictures and everything like that. She was out to take pictures of the first rocks thrown. So we all lined up in the hacks. Now
Okay.
we had not test thrown a rock. We hadn't done anything. We all
Oh,
lined
really? You
up
hadn't
in the
even
hack.
done like a Dave Stevatag throw from the hack move or something?
No,
You just-
we had, so we all get in the hacks. We're expecting, all right, awesome ice.
Laser beam.
Yeah. And we all hogged it.
Yeah. All three of us.
Full hog.
So we hogged it down, and then we went to the other hacks, and we all hogged it coming back too.
And then,
did you
oddly
nip
enough,
it? Did
we
you nip it
called Dave.
before this?
We thought we knew what we were doing, so we called Dave Stavatag after that. He came up, and our ice has improved since then.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we
Oh,
actually
great.
had Dave. Dave came up. He spent a day with us, and then actually Sean Olson came up for a day as well.
Yeah.
He kind of, I mean, he really massaged some stuff. So we're looking at some pretty premier stuff now.
Yeah,
A lot of
with Sean Olson as our head ice tech now, and Dave, who used to be doing that.
Right.
You got a pretty good crew to count on there. So
Exactly.
yeah, they've been priceless, honestly, because you can call them, either one of those guys, and ask them any question, and they generally have the answer.
Mhm.
And
yeah,
so it's been really helpful.
Yeah.
I love listening to those guys talk. I don't understand much of what they're saying, but I love listening to it.
Yeah, there's
It's like exciting for me, but
Yeah,
I don't know what
absolutely.
they're talking about. Every once in a while, I catch a term, and that makes me pleased. But
beautiful.
so what I love too is you guys realize that good ice is a big part of having a. I mean, you know, for too long, so many clubs have been like, well, the ice isn't great, but whatever. But
Exactly.
that's when the game gets fun, right?
We
Exactly.
focused on that. That was our main focus. We said we've got to have good ice. That's our product we're selling.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
after that is just icing on the cake.
Yep.
So
Right.
absolutely put all our efforts into the ice, and I think it was the right move. Later on, we'll probably update some other stuff in the clubhouse area.
Sure.
But,
Yeah.
but definitely ice was
wanna-
number one.
Yeah, and it's a great, you know, thing to start with. We do see like some of our clubs like Denver that built from the ground up. They really focused on the ice area, build
Yeah.
out the lounge and everything else later.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you guys, both of you. So apart from the fact that it does sound like you had a bit of fun doing this with, which I
Mhm.
can certainly understand, but it's also a huge undertaking. It would have been easy just to say, you know what, I'm going to drive and curl in Grafton once a week or
Oh,
something.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So
And there was,
what drove you? What motivated you guys to do this?
oh man.
Well, we're North Dakota's oldest club.
Right. So we were founded in 1901.
Okay.
Which, you know, is pretty cool for a small town,
Yeah.
Drayton, only 800 people. And so what got me fired up was when I was 12 years old, just about 13, I came to an open house here in Drayton. And it was basically just all, you know, guys in their mid 50s curling, and me and a couple other
Right.
younger kids. But I had an absolute riot. It was so fun. I looked forward to league night. We'd come up Tuesdays and Fridays and Saturdays, and we literally just throw rocks, you know, as kids.
Yep.
And so myself, like, I just got married and had a couple kids, and I was like, well, I want those kids to have that same opportunity, not to mention everybody else's kids in the community. Because
Right.
the more stuff they're involved in, the better off they are. And so that's what got me fired up. I was like, I want the same opportunity for those guys. And I also want a product out here that Drayton can be proud of, because honestly, for so many years, Drayton was known for just their garbage ice. I mean, it was like, don't want to curl in Drayton because you probably will never see the other side of the rink. Like, you could women like
You'll quit curling shortly thereafter.
Yeah. I mean, we lost all of our women because they couldn't get to the other end. It was that bad.
Yeah.
And
Crushing.
so it was to the point where it's like we got to go full throttle and do it right. So that was my fire. And honestly, we started curling competitively right before this project. Tom Halcrow, myself, Andy Grzadzielski, Blake Johnson, a couple other members,
Yep.
and curling on really good ice that Dave and Sean had tweaked and modified and made awesome, like in Bismarck and Fargo and Grafton. That was what sealed the deal. We're like,
Absolutely.
we want this. We don't want the
Right.
other stuff.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
that's
mean, the
what,
game is just so much more fun, and I'm convinced. Some people say, I'm convinced it's more fun for curlers of all levels. Like
I
at
agree,
my
100%.
club, you know, we used to be super straight till we standed the rocks, and then all of a sudden now club curlers are making shots that they would have never made before, right? And I mean,
Right.
so it's things like that that make a huge difference. And
Exactly.
Halcrow, the other Tom,
Yeah.
what motivated you, or were you just too afraid of Tom here
So
to turn him down?
yeah, no, I didn't start curling very young. I don't exactly know. Must have been about 30 years old, maybe. I started curling
Uh-huh.
8 years ago, and I just subbed on a friend's team one time, and I kind of liked it. And shortly thereafter, our compressor laid down, and I was just a subbing member. I wasn't even on a permanent team. I didn't know anything about it, but I'm a pretty fair mechanic, and the club was out of money,
Mhm.
so they were going to shut it down. Basically, that was
Yeah,
pretty much
literally.
it.
So for years, we'd had a company out of Canada that had been doing the maintenance on our plant. And it was so expensive every year. It was like $10,000 a year for this little ammonia plant. And
Right.
it had basically sucked us dry. You know,
Yeah.
you do 10 grand a year,
Yeah,
year in and year out, like we were out of money.
that's a
And
pretty good line item.
yeah, exactly. So, you know, as somebody had mentioned it to me, they're like, "Hey, Tom Halcrow could maybe rebuild it." And I'm like, what?
I knew nothing about compressors.
so yeah, I was like, if you
Have
think you
at
can
it.
do it, let's see what happens.
We did. I got in contact with this guy, Craig from Minneapolis, out of the ammonia house. Great
Okay.
guy. Walked me through a lot. It was an ammonia compressor, which I found out quickly that that'll clear a room out.
Yeah, it'll kill a few people if you don't deal
Yeah,
with it,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty used to putting on ammonia. I do a lot of anhydrous in the fall for farmers, but
Okay.
not in an enclosed space.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah.
long story short, we tore it apart, myself and Blake Johnson, who's our resident electrician, also a curler. Tore it apart, and for $162, we had the crankshaft rebuilt because that's what was wrong, and put some new parts in, and it ran for another year.
Yep. Yep.
And it kind of
Crankshaft let loose.
Yeah, the guy said, "I don't guarantee my work." That's probably why I didn't charge a whole lot.
Turns out there's probably a reason why.
It was so far gone. He did a great job with what we gave him to work with, and then we got
Right.
another compressor, the exact same thing, used one again, and just
But-
cut a hole in our wall.
Yeah, I think we need to preface that these compressors are really bad. Like they were half.
They're a good compressor.
Right.
They're still made to this day. They're a good quality compressor.
Yeah, they just brought them over on the Mayflower.
but they're pretty old and not cared for
Yeah.
at all.
Right. Yeah.
Not at all.
But yeah, back to tearing the roof or the ceiling.
Our little building that the compressor sat in, we had a truck radiator, just literally a radiator out of a truck, cooling our compressor with a box fan tied to it.
With not tied, it wasn't even tied. It was like wired.
It was, yeah. We had a hack plate and a board propping up our roof in the building. It was falling down.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
really terrible. And one light bulb, the other one was broke.
Yeah, when I became president in 2012, that was the first thing I did. I changed out the light bulb, put on a new one. I think it was like a
You
40 watt.
took on the big jobs.
Yeah, I
So
started
really,
with the big stuff.
Yeah.
So prior
I
to
always say as
rebuilding
club president, Tom, it's just about motivating people, just getting everybody going.
Yeah, 40
you know?
watt to 60 watt.
You got a
Let's do it.
delegate, and you set an example. You change the light bulb, and
Yeah,
then you got Tom out there with his head in ammonia compressor or something.
So,
you know?
so yeah, anyway, we ended up getting the compressor fixed. It broke later on, got another compressor, and that one was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
That was fine. And then that leads us up to the project where we're at now, where we're light years ahead of the cooling system we have.
Yeah. But no,
So
we
the
honestly,
good news is you guys are going to be on my next podcast, Compressor Talk. Just
Oh,
Hey,
yeah,
I like
bring it
it.
on.
all the way
I could
through.
talk for days about the old filter
Yep.
compressor.
Yep.
I asked.
Sorry,
so
Tom. What were you going to add?
prior,
Go ahead.
Prior to the compressor breaking, well, actually, as it was breaking, I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't been in the club more than probably 3 times. And I
Right.
called Tom. I said, I don't know, this thing doesn't sound quite right. And he comes up. We flip the breaker on. He's like, oh, shut it off.
It wasn't right.
No, we had no
No.
bearings left.
No.
Wow.
They were gone. Yeah.
Wow.
They were gone. So,
I mean,
But-
I have so much admiration and respect for you guys and your community for pushing into this because
Appreciate that.
I know what kind of work this is. It's not easy. And,
Oh man. And you know,
and I-
before I got the help of all these guys, there were still things laying down. In 2012, we lost our brine pump. We lost the drive motor for the old Bilter. And we had no money. So I literally went to this place in Grand Forks was like, hey, I need this 30-horse motor, and they're like, well, it's probably gonna be like $3,000. So I put it on my own credit card, and I was like, we got to have it. You know, I know the club doesn't have money, but we got to have it. So put it on my own credit card.
I'm gonna bet you guys put more than a few things on your own credit card.
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff.
Tom especially, he's provided a lot of equipment through the use of his credit card.
Yeah. But you know, and we all made it right. It's all good, but it was just you did what you had to do at the time to get it to work. And we only lost our ice one time. And that was when I was on a snowboarding trip out west. I got avalanched in, had to buy a car to get back. $1,000 car. I drove it 1,000 miles through the mountains because the ice was gone.
Bought a case of oil before you.
I bought a case of oil because the car was using oil so bad. But I had to get back because our Bonspiel was the next weekend, so we had to start over on the ice. It was literally down to the paint. So we started over, making it all over again. We did it. We got it all ready to play in 7 days. Which
I'm gonna say I'd love to go on a spiel with you guys one day, but I don't know if I want to travel to the spiel with either of you. It sounds like you're prone to some mishaps.
Oh, it's been wild in this place. Yeah. So we had an old member we always kind of joke about it. He used to mess with stuff all the time. He loved he'd turn the thermostats off. He'd crank the heat up. He'd turn the plant off. Like he was always messing with stuff. That guy. So anytime something happens, we're like, oh, Rudnick's back. Yeah, that was his name, Rudnick. He actually still has a sign.
I hope he's listening. I hope he listens.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's some gremlins around here.
There's some gremlins.
So Sean, when he was here, actually, he was talking to me about he had come here to curl for mixed or something like that. It's some play downs. And he walks in and he said, I thought the clubhouse is really cool. It's old, kind of authentic. He says, I walked out on the ice and it was water. It wasn't cool after that.
That's just not.
So
this is suboptimal out here.
A pretty big change in this club.
Yeah.
He saw it at its worst. So
yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I was just saying, when I curled in high school, it was not unusual to show up for league night and there'd be water out there. So you'd throw it literally as hard as you could, and it would never get there. So the only way you could get it there is to throw it where it would wobble. So it literally be going like this down the ice. And then you could actually get it to the end. But normally you just destroyed what ice was there by doing that.
Oh, it's just about slush.
It was basically slush, yeah.
So you're at the other end. You got to throw the wobbler. Give me the wobbler.
Yep, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
And then on top of that, all the rocks ended up against the wall because it was slanted so badly.
Yeah.
So you had to wobble against the curve.
It was wild.
I wasn't part of that. I've just heard the stories. But.
Yeah. When I talk, I always think I'm like passionate about curling. I love the game. I would do just about anything for it. But when I talk to people like you guys, I'm like, no, there's another level. There's a next level.
Yeah. You're not joking.
I don't know if I'm at. I don't know if I'd ever curl at a place where I had to throw the wobbler. So,
but we didn't know any different, That's
reality,
it was just like it was just like guys that do like the outdoor spiels, they don't know any different. So like it was just fun then, but that's when I curled in Grand Forks, the 10 years that I was gone, that's what did it. That's what it was like. Holy, there's a totally different ball game left out here.
Yeah, there's a whole different sport out there, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Don't have to
I'll tell you what, I have a family summer place in Blind River, Ontario. It's sort of between Sudbury and Sault Ste. Marie. And the inside of the club looks a little bit like yours. And there's a real community spirit. It's not a big town either. It's not 800, but it's like 3,500. But so I love clubs like yours. I also love that, that you guys leaned into it here, and it's a great story about a small town club that's successful. And we don't have enough of those right now. And I'm happy to promote it and make sure people know about it. So tell me what you guys have coming up, because maybe, I can, spiels, etc., events. Do you have anything planned?
Well, so we, for the first time ever, obviously, we're going to have a summer Bonspiel the third weekend in July 21st through the 24th. It's already full. We've got 8 on the waiting list. It filled up almost immediately. Like we were saying before, like the surrounding communities just jump at that stuff, which has been awesome. We have
Right.
a pickup raffle where we sell $300 raffle tickets. We sell 350 of them, and that's been huge for
Yeah.
our club. I mean, it's been, this will be the 4th year, and it's basically made this whole thing possible for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we also have our winter bonspiel, which is right around the first weekend of
Yeah.
December.
Early December, yeah.
Yeah, the 10th.
Is that
right
the
around there.
catfish spiel? When's the
Catfish spiel? Catfish
Oh,
capital,
yeah.
open bonspiel.
All right. Is it really the catfish capital, Drayton?
Oh.
He's gonna grab the trophy.
Yeah.
And Drayton
Oh
is
my
the
gosh, here
catfish
we go.
capital of the North.
Really?
So, yep. So yeah, this is the trophy. If you want your name on it, that's the girl,
Oh, I like that actually. That is one I'd like to have my name on.
right?
So
Oh,
I'm gonna have
yeah.
to make a trip because
There's only one of these in the nation, right here.
catfish. Is it the Catfish Open? What is it? It's
Catfish capital open bonspiel.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, I love talking to you. And I know Tom, we're going to be dealing. You guys are getting new rocks. We're working with you on
Right.
that, and I would encourage anybody to look you guys up. And
Absolutely.
I'm sure you'll be open to if people have questions about hurdles and everything else.
my
You
gosh.
faced a few of them.
100%.
I don't think everybody has the same access to labor that you did, but it's a tremendous story. And I want to thank you both for joining us. And I hope, Olympics underway. I hope maybe you get a little more interest in your area and people realize they have a great, basically new facility right in their backyard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate you having us on. It's we're always looking for the next step. Like how do we get to that next step of publicity and people knowing about us? And I mean, for so many years, people would drive by this place and thought it was just a place to change tires. Like nobody even knew what it was.
Literally, it was right behind a place that changed tires. And
Yeah.
it looks like Quonset, they held tires in.
And there's a little
Do you have
tiny
a new
sign
sign?
about this big.
Do you have a new sign now? I'm going to ask you that. Do you have a new
Yeah,
sign?
Yeah, we got a big,
All right.
big sign. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
So-
Hey guys, thanks very much. Enjoy your new facility, and I hope it's buzzing especially over the next month. Reach out with any needs. Well, not any needs. I don't have I'm not putting something on my credit card for you, but reach out.
Yeah.
Got drawn a line somewhere.
Right.
So,
Sweet.
and it's a real pleasure to talk to you.
Absolutely, Dean. Appreciate it. Thank you.
That was Tom Grzadzielski and Tom Halcrow from the Drayton Curling Club in North Dakota, and that was fun. You'll find some bonus audio about the club and its approach to advertising sales after this. Just wait until the music ends to hear it. I'm Dean Gemmel, Director of Curling Development at USA Curling, and I hope you'll reach out to me with suggestions for future episodes or to share ideas that can help grow our game. Email me at dean.gemmel@usacurling.org. And remember to visit the USA Curling website to find news, get results, watch web streams, or check out some of the latest USA Curling merchandise and apparel. Be a member, be a supporter, be a fan, but stay involved in the sport you love.
I'm going to bring it a little closer just before we close here.
Oh yeah, good.
Try to give you a little better shot of. All right.
That is better, actually. It really does look great. Now, you guys have, I commented before we started on the theater seating on the side.
Yep.
In the picture I saw online, there were couches that you actually moved out, but I did love the idea of a between end nap. So, but the theater seating looks great.
We've tried to class it up a little bit.
It does look
couches-
classy.
Couches were good, but the mice just took them over.
Yeah.
Also does give it a little bit of a bachelor pad vibe, the couches.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the
Right.
theater seating classed it up.
Yeah.
You know what's been not to keep going here, Dean, but what's been huge
No
for us
problem.
are those in-ice advertisements.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that actually. Let's do it real quick. We can just say so. I see a lot of in-ice advertising in your rings, and how did that work for you? And advertising on the sideboards, the side
Yeah.
walls as well.
To be honest, we kind of dropped the ball on it for a few years. It was stagnant. Nobody was really taking the reins on it. And I just started asking people. I just would, businesses that I worked with and stuff like that, I just would say, hey, like, would you want to sponsor us? And so it all started on the walls, 4x4s and 4x8s. We've done those for years. And then finally, when we got to a point where our ice was nice enough, it was like, hey, let's get some in ice in. And we had
Right.
a local sign maker that does the mesh. So she's like, well, I can bang them out for $75. So we were like, well, let's charge a good fair number for everybody. And it's been absolutely amazing for us.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot out there. It's great.
Yeah. We've got 67 wall signs, 36 in ice advertisements. We got 6 houses. And then not to mention the back signs there. So yeah, I mean, it's been phenomenal. I mean, it's a lot of work putting them in, but it's worth it.
Yeah, that draws on the community support and surrounding community support. This is all pretty local, within 30-mile radius of us. So we get a lot of help from other businesses.
Yeah.
It goes along.
I do have to ask Grzadzielski, were you the sales guy or your brother? Because I want to know how these sales went down.
You can, there's 2 ways you can go about it.
There are some RICO statutes I might have to talk about.
You either just buy a sponsorship right away, or you buy it later, because he's not going to give up. So just give in right away. It's more painless.
It's easier.
Oh man, there's guys, honestly, Dean, that I worked on for years, hundreds of text messages. Like I'm relentless. Which, and I even say it with memberships. I'm always like, I like to say we use abrasive encouragement. Like, come on up to the curling club. Come on up to the curling club. All the time. There was actually one sponsor out there. They told me that they wanted a 4x4, and I sent them an email back saying no. We want a house, and she was like, okay, well, we'll do a 4x8, and I said no. And this one went on for months, and finally I sent her this huge email saying, oh, I'm just going to call the owner of the company, because I actually know who he was. I'm like, I'm just going to call him and see what he thinks. Within minutes, she sent me an email back apologizing, and she's like, I would love to have an in-house advertisement. That sounds great.
You'd swear he's Italian and working with the mob or something, like the way he runs.
Unbelievable. I swear when I come to the catfish spiel, I am sending my entry fee check in very early, very promptly, right away.
But honestly, like it looks so good, and I know that the reason why I pushed so hard is because it was a John Deere dealership, a local one.
Right.
And we had another John Deere dealership, not a non-local one, do a house sponsor. So I was like, man, this would be so cool if we could have 2 John Deere houses on this end. Here's the local one, here's the other one. Like, I thought it was going to be awesome. So that's why I pushed so hard for that type of stuff, because it's just like, and people come in and they see this huge tractor on the house, and everyone's just like, that is so awesome. I'll give them a little.
I love it. Hit me with that term you used again for aggressive. What was it?
Abrasive encouragement.
Abrasive
encouragement. That's going to be a new marketing document from USA Curling.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see that. Right.
Oh, there we go. Wow, that's quite a house. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty darn sweet.
Wow. I don't know how I'm drawing the 8-foot there, but I like it.
Oh, draw to the.
I like the dollars it represents as much as anything.